Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Stronger Together channel, where our goal here is really to focus on creating meaningful content for women in tech. And this is the series that's focusing on the women of Google. I did my video last week, and that was great, but that's one single instance of one single person who's gotten into Google. So I wanted to expand the scope to more women around Google. And so that's why I invited my dear colleague, Farah Omer. Hi, Farah, to join us today. And so we'll have a couple different women around Google throughout the next several months here, just trying to spotlight different types of women. And what I want to achieve with this is to just make Google seem more accessible to not just women but everybody. It's not only MIT 4.0 graduates who get in. There are regular people who get in as well. And so we just like to share our experiences. Not that Farah is not amazing, she is. But we hear about all these things like Ivy League, whatever. And if we don't fit that narrative, we feel like, maybe not, I'm not going to apply. And I don't want that to scare people off. So we're going to have fun with this. That's why I'm wearing my little nuclear spinny hat today. So let's get into it. And we will start off with Farah just telling us a little bit about your position at Google. She's a customer engineer like me, but each customer engineer always has their own sort of niche specialty about them. And so I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Aiden. Thanks for having me. And this is an amazing series, and I'm super happy to be a part of it. Yeah, I am a customer engineer here at Google. I've been here for a little less than 2 years. My background and specialty is in data. I've always dealt with data. I've always worked with data management, data analytics side of things. And that's what, honestly, like that is exactly what I wanted to continue doing. And my role here really allows me to do that. I enjoy customer conversations. So definitely my role entails a lot of that. Conversations with some awesome partners, conversations across Google, not just Google Cloud, get to meet a lot of super nice Googlers as well as like external stakeholders that get directly affected by Google Cloud. So it's a lot of envisioning of paving a niche market for Google Cloud in general. So really making that effect into the market is what really pulled me into this role, and that's exactly what I do day in day out. It's a lot of fun. It's a challenging role for sure, but you get to learn a lot on the job itself. You get to make some amazing relationships and some really cool technology. So that's the fun part of the job.
Awesome, cool. I relate so much to your experience. I've had a really fun time. Can you tell us a little bit more about your career journey at a high level, sort of how you got into technology to begin with and where you were before you came to Google?
Absolutely. So yeah, have always been attracted towards mathematics and computers in general. My bachelor's was of engineering was in computer science. So I did my engineering from India, and then I came to US to do my master's. My master's has been in information technology. So still a lot of like IT, but not a lot of like hardcore coding or like programming, but still a lot of like databases, database management, analytics. So that kind of like spurred me into the direction of my first career, first where I spent about 10 years, which was all about creating business intelligence reporting using reporting tools, reporting and analytics. So I spent a lot of time over there. That is where I actually started learning more and more of cloud in general and cloud technologies and what's out there. That was a time where cloud was still like getting started, and it was awesome to be a part of that journey of going through what the market, like there was a huge change in the market at that time, going from like on premises to cloud. So being a part of that was super exciting and challenging. And then slowly I kept on doing what I was doing at that particular firm where I was for about 10 years. After that, I decided I wanted to work more and more with like customers. I wanted to be more customer facing, see what they are doing from their perspective. How can we help them be their advocates, be their counselor, and just help them out in this modernization journey, because so many customers especially have this idea of a notion of like modernization journey, but it's not about what they want. It's also about what they might need, and that is honestly what our job is all about. It's all about seeing what they need and getting them out there and getting that help and being their advocate. So that kind of pushed me into the direction of being a customer advocate, which was a perfect role for me at Microsoft, which was a cloud solution architect. So I spent about 2 years over there as a cloud solution architect. Right around when I was nearing my 2 years, I started to feel a change in my interest level again, where I wanted to do something more. I wanted to play around with some more new technologies. I wanted to see what the market is out there. And that is when I applied to Google and I got in.
That was my next question for you, is how you decided to come to Google and what really attracted you in particular to the customer engineer role, and how is that different than the Microsoft
Yeah,
role that appealed to you?
absolutely. So, of course, for me, I had always worked on cloud, right? I had worked on AWS cloud, I had worked on Microsoft cloud. So the notion of cloud was very familiar, and the intricacies behind it was very familiar. The architectures behind it were already something that I was comfortable with. But what made me really choose to apply at Google was honestly a monotonous life that I had gained at my prior roles. I was not learning enough. I was not being able to contribute enough. And it was very different when I joined Google. There was a different culture of people. There was a different energy here that I honestly had been missing, and that is exactly what I had been looking for, like that energy and the need to learn, need to grow into the role, right? So I think in my prior roles, I had reached a point where I wasn't getting anything out of it personally, like personally and professionally. I wasn't getting that satisfaction, and I needed that. I needed that to like continue giving my best.
Mhm.
So that's exactly why I just started looking. I wasn't sure if I'll be getting into Google, and I wasn't really actively looking at that point. But I thought, what the heck, just apply and just let's see what will happen. And in fact, in the past, I had applied to like almost about 6 months to a year back before I got accepted at Google. This time, I had applied at that time too to Google, and I had that was a different role. That was not sales. Uh, that was more on the engineering side of Google. And I had applied, but that was just not the right time for me to like move ahead with it. So I thought like maybe this is a sign from the universe asking me to go and give it another try. And I started talking to recruiters at that point, started doing more and more research on what Google is all about, what this particular role. I saw a lot of interviews. I saw a lot of customer engineer focused descriptions of what is out there and how similar or different it is from, like, for example, cloud solution architect, because that's a very common title across industry, right? That's at AWS, that's at Microsoft, but a CE is a little bit different compared to all of them as well. So that is where I basically just started doing my research more and more into why Google Cloud could be a good fit for me, and it turned out I made the right decision.
Cool. So was it the recruiter that had brought up that idea, or did you just kind of stumble upon it as you were looking through job postings and kind of social media type?
So that's an interesting question, right? And the way that hiring takes place here at Google is also very different. Like, it's not the typical one where a role opens up and then the recruiter will call you up to get you in for that role. Probably that also takes place, but the way that it happened with me, and the way that I have seen it happening a lot here at Google, is that there will be a bucket of roles that will be open, and the recruiter will be reaching out to you to get you into the system and to just make sure that if you are a good fit or not, and if you turn out to be a good fit, you will have certain interviews and certain conversations with multiple people, and you will be it won't be certain for sure at the time that you are having that first conversation with the recruiter. It won't be for sure which team you're joining, because there will be a team fitting conversation that could take place like later on in the journey. So that is how it took place for me. I interviewed with a generic set of interview interviewers. And
Mhm.
then down the line, I also interviewed with like multiple teams where there were openings. And then that was also very neat piece in the whole interviewing process. Like I was given the flexibility and the opportunity to talk to like multiple people, multiple managers, see what their styles were, and they got an opportunity to talk with me and get more excited. And they kind of claimed that yes, Farah is a good fit for my team, and that is where I went. So that kind of builds up the confidence both for you as well as the manager too.
Yeah. Awesome. Great points. Okay, so let's get into how you actually prepared for the interview. I know that for me, at least my recruiter gave me some outline and kind of some sort of generic tips, but at least for myself, I did a lot more extra homework on YouTube and
Yeah.
Google search and found some resources there. What did you find in that respect that you felt like was most helpful for you?
Yeah, for me personally, again, like you said, a lot of research on YouTube, websites, Google Cloud's vision, Google's core values, and like just researching on those principles itself. And then a lot of research on the role itself, right? Like, how is it different from the prior roles? And what kind of interview questions will be asked? So, of course, like your recruiter will guide you with respect to what kind of rounds are there going to be. Like maybe there will be behavioral questions, or if there will be uh, general interview questions or cognitive ability questions. So as long as you have set of ideas, you would have to do a lot of homework, a lot of research on what kind of questions those might entail. So basically, yes, I did that. There was one particular component that took up most of my time, which was more about like the technical presentation and the technical aptitude, right? So brushing up on Google Cloud itself, not just, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Google technology. It can be, it has to be more tailored to what's out there in that industry, which is more of like cloud. So cloud focus, because my role was in cloud. If yours might not be in cloud, then it could be a general technology focus. So whatever technology you're focusing on, you can prepare on that technically if it is a technical role. And then just preparing myself with like presentation skills as well as content on what I would be talking about, making sure that I'm comfortable standing in front of people and just like talking things through because it was in-person interview. So yeah, doing a lot of research, at least on the CE role itself and what other people have gone through and what kind of questions are going to be asked. That I would rely heavily on the recruiter to give me more and more guidance on how I can help best prepare myself.
Right. Yeah. And that's the great thing with Google is that we're such a big company and a popular company that tons of people have just put out great content out there for fun and for free to
Yeah,
take advantage of. So it's
yeah,
definitely worth a solid Google search
yeah,
and emphasizing that this is not a normal resume. Sorry, not a normal interview
yeah.
process. You have to put your best foot forward and you have to study for it
Absolutely,
for
absolutely.
sure, right?
Yeah, for sure. It needs a lot of preparation for sure. It's not easy. It's you need to be, especially for my role, it was a technical role, so I knew I had to be technically strong. And since I was coming from Microsoft background, I had to make sure that my conversations were tailored towards Google Cloud also. So yeah, you have to technically prepare yourself. You have to make sure that the things that they're looking out for, you kind of stand well on those things, as well as your communication skills, your presentation, your uh, general ability to think right there and then, and you answer in the best possible manner. So that was key for me.
Cool. Cool. All right. So let's actually get into your resume. Probably one of the most important aspects to actually, before you even get to talk to a recruiter, you have to make it through the algorithms and you have to get your resume in front of a recruiter. How do we do that? That is the most important question that people need to be asking themselves because you won't get an interview if
Yeah.
your resume is not accepted. So
Yes.
Farah's been kind enough to offer to share her resume with us, the actual one that got her into Google, not her one that's been updated and fancified since she's been here. This is the actual one that she used.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and share your screen, Farah. We'll take a quick look at that and just see some of the highlights there.
All right. So
Mhm.
here's my resume from 2019, which is when I applied to Google and got accepted. So basically, what I did was I had a executive summary at the very top. So a small paragraph of few lines of and kind of putting some stuff out there in bold, which I felt like were my strong points and the technologies that I worked with. So definitely include all of them in the executive summary. And then on the left hand side, I had like my picture and then some of the critical points like my contact information, all those things, my education, without listing like too many details, like no need of GPA and all those things unless you are a fresh graduate and you're looking for a fresh opportunity, like for a new role right out of college, then it might make sense to put those things out there as well. Certifications, any important certifications that you're really proud of and that are really relevant, it really needs to be very relevant to the role that you're applying. So I feel like that's very critical. So the certifications that were important for me, expertise, again, like the technologies and the stuff that I have worked on, skills. So basically I used a lot of my resume was about 2 pages long, but I used a lot of space in here to make sure that I enlist a lot of key points that I really wanted to put across. So on the left hand side, I tried to use a white and blue theme across this whole thing to make sure that I'm able to put the right content in here. On the right hand side, I try to focus on my experience. My Microsoft experience goes first, so chronological order. So that was the first one, and then the next one where I spent about 9 to 10 years, and the key things that I did over there, what was the main focus, and how I did a lot of stuff on like cloud and relational technologies, and then it went back all the way to my first role, which was if you have any internships or any college assistantships or anything like that that you feel are relevant to this particular role that you're applying to, then yes, for sure, like just include them in. But try to keep them short and sweet, like no more than 1 to 2 pages. I feel like this is from 2019, but now if you ask me to make my resume, then I would probably just keep it even shorter than this. It won't have a lot of information that I have put together in the middle sections. It will be much more smaller. But then getting into Google, I felt like this was important to me at that point when I got into Google. So I felt like these were some really critical needs. And then again, some keywords that are look through the job posting, make sure that you include the ones that are really relevant to you and how they most closely align with the work that they are asking for in the job posting. So it just needs to be very very aligned. So
Yes, that's
yeah.
critical. And did you write this specifically to apply to Google?
Yes, I did. It was for Google, but it was definitely it was built off from all the other resumes that I was applying in the market, right? But I was not really actively looking. So I basically just had like one copy of my resume, which was pretty much this. It wasn't heavily tailored to Google itself, but it was slightly tailored to the role that I was applying to, which was like a customer engineer role, like I said. But I wasn't sure if I would be the best fit over there. So that was the good part about my conversations with my recruiter, because recruiter also comes in with his huge knowledge of like the job space itself and what is open, what is not open, what roles might be the best fit for you. So I wasn't very focused on a CE role itself. I was focused mostly on having a technical customer related customer focused role. So it
Right.
could have been a cloud solution architect, it could have been anything that involved anything that was similar. So we figured out together with my recruiter that a CE role might be the best fit. So it was very much tailored to Google, but it was not tailored to a particular role at Google.
Gotcha, gotcha. That's important. And, I think that that relationship works both ways. So you could have written this to get a customer engineer role. I've seen, for example, folks who are switching from software development into data science, but they don't update their resumes. So their resumes look very software development focused, all the languages that are applicable there.
Mhm.
I could see it being very confusing for recruiters reading a resume that's applying to a data science role and thinking, but you're a software developer.
Mhm.
You've got all the software development skills, and I have a position open here. Can you come over here? you'll get swayed that way.
Yeah.
That's recruiter's job is to find the best fit for you. So,
Yeah.
but that's on you to communicate to them what role you want through your resume.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Agreed.
and you don't have to put every single bit of your experience and knowledge on your resume. You can remove stuff that is not relevant to the position
Yeah.
that you want.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. You've given us so much great advice there, Farah. Thank you so much for your time. Last question, is there anything else that you haven't said that would be good advice for other women thinking to get it into Google or thinking about applying to Google that you haven't said already?
I think everybody should take a look at the job posting, take a look at your own profile, and see if there is a match. If you feel even 10%, yes, there is a match, there is a possibility that I can join. If you feel that this could be a good role for you professionally, you are going to develop and you're going to grow, and you're going to, if you personally feel excited about the job role, I my biggest advice would be, don't self doubt yourself. Like, don't go into the field of, there is this common thing called imposter syndrome, right? Like, don't doubt yourself, but just go ahead and apply to different roles within Google, right? Something can click. If you feel 10-20% that yes, there is a slight fit, maybe your recruiter will feel so too. And there is a reason why you're here. There is a reason why you have like solid experience from the last X many number of years that's really backing you up. There is a reason why you have the potential, and you do have the potential. It's just about exploring that. So I feel like you should give it a really good try. It's reachable. It's definitely it's difficult, but it is so much worth it. It's really like when you get that call and you get excited and you get to do the next steps of like interview preparation, just give it your 100%, and it's definitely very doable.
Absolutely. I could not have said it better myself. You are such an amazing colleague, and you're such an inspiration, I know, to me, and I'm sure to
Thank
all
you.
the viewers watching this. And yes, we want to hold a torch for ourselves, highlight amazing women like Farah around Google, and the other amazing women that we're going to be highlighting throughout the next couple of months. So I hope that everyone learns at least something new with each one of these. Everyone's got their own unique little gems of advice to share. And let's celebrate that and just have fun with it and have these casual conversations. I love it. So, Farah, thank you so much for your time. And we wish you all the best. And yeah, look
Thank
forward
you.
to
Thank you, Eden. It was my pleasure, and thank you so much.
all right. Thanks, Farah. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Thanks.